I'm going to put it on the screen. I don't know if I'm going to put it right now as I'm talking or if I'm going to put it after this and cut away. And it looks like he's been having issues with his legs before the fight. I was wondering, is it possible to stretch this 20-second fight into a 40-minute breakdown? But I'm not going to try to do that. My pick was McGregor, and I don't feel too bad about the way that it went. And you know what? There weren't very many people trying to give me a hard time about it after the fact either, because I think they knew. I think they got it. There were a couple people, and shame on you, Joshua Van. That's what I was telling them. It's that type of victory. Never go fool Joshua Van. It's embarrassing. Even the way that Max Holloway was celebrating it a little bit, because he was like, oh, you know, we're praying for him. We're going to be praying for him. I'm sorry it happened that way, but now we get to get the trilogy. Like, that's what he wanted all along. Even at the pre-fight press conference, he was already asking for a trilogy at the pre-fight press conference, which means he probably thought he was going to lose. No. What am I talking about? This is what happens when I don't script videos. He lost the first one, and then he assumed he was going to win the second one, and then they were going to need a tiebreaker. But that was the mentality. He was already talking about a trilogy, and that's when Conor was like, frankly, I think it's disrespectful. Okay, I don't do impressions. I'm sure he has Italian in his bloodline somewhere. He's definitely fathered some Italian children, so either way you want to look at it. But I think, you know, Max was already thinking that way, so he's happy right now. And then he was like, oh, yeah, you know, his knees are bad because, you know, I guess I made him weak in the knees. Dude, he said it twice, too. It's like when you say, like, a bad joke, but you want to make sure everybody heard you. He said it to Joe Rogan in the Octagon, and then he said it again later after to Megan O'Leary. It's like he was rehearsing this or something. I don't know. But, dude, I mean, it's not a victory. It's very much like I think it's even less than a Joshua Van type of victory. Because at the very least, let's say I was a Joshua Van fan, which I'm not. At the very least, you could say, hey, he caught it. He had them cat-like reflections. He knew how to catch it and kind of how to throw it off. And he had that reaction time or whatever. Okay, cool. McGregor, he just went out there thinking that he was a Ninja Turtle. He went out there trying to do the crane kick, and he defeated himself. And it was very ironic because, look, I'm hopping a little bit all over the place right here. Maybe I should have wrote down notes, but first of all, I want to say Max Holloway definitely could have handled it way worse. He definitely could have handled it way worse. He was trying to be gracious. He was trying to be a good sport. I don't think that, whatever. They're fighters, you know, things are going to come out. So if the worst thing he said is, I guess I made him weak in the knees, that's not so bad. But the reason I even started talking about that is, you know what? I was kind of impressed with the MMA viewer base. You know, people in the MMA viewer base could be, they could be relentless. They could be a lot, you know? And, they could have definitely come swarming in, but they didn't, because I think that's kind of the gist. People know Max didn't win this fight. And look, dude, hear how I'm saying this. I don't want to be like Sean O'Malley about it. Like, yeah, he got his hand raised. It's going to be on the Wikipedia. It's going to be on his record. Cool. But this is like a baseball game got rained out. Like, if you disagree, please don't raise your hand and let everyone know who you are. Don't dox yourself. Anybody with a decent beanie on their shoulders knows this game got rained out. It was you know, let's keep it, you know, relevant to the times. It was a own goal, you know? Let's look at it that way so you understand what happened. It wasn't that Max beat Conor. Conor beat himself, I guess. And I think that shows, because the MMA community, they will go after you with torches. Like if you're Frankenstein or something like that. If they have any opportunity to come and eat you alive, you know? And I think everybody's just so bummed out with the way that it happened and knowing, you know, this wasn't really even, they didn't even get off the ground. But here's what I think is some important stuff to point out. It's very ironic because I realized it in the stream and I was telling the people, hey, remember when Conor McGregor was tallying like Poirier, I'm going to put you on a stretcher. You're going to leave the cage in a stretcher. And then he left in a stretcher, and it was like, he was telling Max he was going to contort his body. That he was going to contort Max's body, and he ended up contorting his own body. He ended up with his own leg contorted, which is ironic. Conor should stop saying these things. If there is a trilogy, which there probably won't be, if there's a trilogy, it's going to have to be like an arm wrestling match. But if there is a trilogy, Conor's going to need to say something like, oh, Max, you're going to knock me out. You're going to break my arm. And like with the intention that the opposite's going to happen. He needs to do like George Costanza. He needs to do the opposite. I guess he's not a Seinfeld fan. But he should probably stop saying stuff like that. It was ironic. And here's what I think is the most major part of this. First of all, again, I picked him. And all I kept hearing people say was he's too old, which no, he's not, because he's the same age as Gaethje. He's the same. Look at Volkanovski. That has nothing to do with anything. They were saying his leg's broken. Well, he has a reinforced leg. His leg actually had a glow up. He's actually like, he has like a Terminator leg. He has titanium. Are you telling me? Like, I play the game Fallout a lot. And you travel and stuff, and you try to find pieces of titanium and metal and stuff as armor. Like, the more the better, right? So he actually has a reinforced Terminator leg. So I'm like, that doesn't make any sense either. It's even stronger. He's had too much time off. Oh, so he's been resting and having time to get thick and bulk up properly and make the stamina catch up accordingly. He didn't have to do it like in one fight camp. He hasn't been taking the lumps and bumps like Max Holloway. He hasn't been putting them miles on it. Hasn't been getting that CTE. None of that had any effect on what actually happened. Because if the leg break, it would have been very annoying. I would have been very frustrated if he had an issue with the leg that was the broken one. But it wasn't. It was the other leg. It was the other leg. So, the way that it happened ended up being very expected, because all the arguments that people had against Conor McGregor, it was none of those things that played out. It wasn't his age. It wasn't the time off. It wasn't his leg. It was the other leg. We didn't get to see anything else play out. It wasn't a matter of they went into the fourth round and his cardio was gone by the beginning of the second. His age started to show. It was just a leg. It was a game that got rained out. And I'm not saying that because he was my pick. I'm saying that because as a UFC fan, as a fight fan, what a bummer. We're all bummed out. The game got rained out. Somebody called in a bomb threat. It's that kind of thing. Like, what the heck, bro? And here's the crazy part. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to put it on the screen. I don't know if I'm going to put it right now as I'm talking or if I'm going to put it after this and cut away. I wondered if my memory served me correct. So I went back and looked at the footage. And it looks like he's been having issues with his legs before the fight. And I was asking people in the stream. I said, I don't know. I've never had a leg injury like that. Are there any doctors here? Can anyone explain it to me? Is there any way that he could have had a pre-existing injury? And I said, I don't see how that's possible. How could you blow out a leg, just full-blown blow out a leg on camera and have it be having been pre-existing? Because we saw it happen. And people were saying, no, you could actually have symptoms of this or that, or it could have been a lesser version and then it went full-blown, or however they worded it. They were saying, yes, there definitely could have been things pre-existing that NBA players play all the time when something's sprained or strained or whatever, and then it goes full-blown out when they're playing. So then I thought, okay, let me go see if my memory serves me correct. At the very beginning of the stream of UFC 329, I told everyone, hey, did you see the weigh-in show last night? Did you see Conor McGregor, how he was stumbling and fumbling all over the place? It was hilarious. It was weird. I almost made a video about it. He was having a hard time taking off his sweats and putting the shoes on. He looked like he had no equilibrium. He was falling all over the place like a little weeble wobble. I went back right now and I watched the footage. And yeah, he's stumbling and fumbling. He looks off balance. He looks like he can't put his full weight on his leg. And he took way too long. He's taking as long as like a preschooler to put his shoes on. It was like he was very gingerly doing everything and couldn't fully put his weight on his leg. At the what is it? The ceremony or whatever, weigh-ins. He didn't look like that when I went back again also right now and looked at the press conference. He's walking around, strutting around, doing the Vince McMahon walk, jogging around, taking the shades off. Max Holloway, I don't know. Maybe he was feeling more adrenaline that night. I don't know. But you could definitely see it during the weigh-ins. And then when he was when he was about to get lubed up, right before he stepped into the cage and he's taking off his shirt, taking off everything, he's taking off his shoes again and he's stumbling. And it's like,
are you intoxicated or something?
Oh wait, did that not work? I don't know. I pushed the button right now. I don't know if you heard it. Did my soundboard work? I don't know. I pushed the button right now and you were supposed to hear, are you intoxicated or something? It was like, bro, hold on, stand still. Let me do this. Hold on, stand still. Follow my finger. Hold on, pull my finger. Never mind. So he didn't look right. And I didn't say anything because in the moment, I'm like, I'm nervous. I made a pick. I want my pick to be right. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, I'm not even going to talk about it. And it's not like I believe in like speaking it into existence or anything like that. I was just like, I just didn't want it to be real. And I was just trying to ignore it. I was like, forget it. It's all good. Everything's okay. And then when they were doing the introductions, dude, I said this during the stream. I'm regurgitating some things. He made the face that you make when you're on the freeway and you're like 40 minutes away from home and you could feel that like you have diarrhea. I saw his face as he was pacing when Bruce, he was just like, oh no. And I was trying to convince myself he's zen, he's calm, he's breathing, he's doing some breathing practices. And no, maybe he knew something. He again, after I show you the footage, it's like, oh yeah, there it is. What the heck, bro? So people were saying in the chat, was this a pre-existing condition? Did he know about this? Did the people who cleared him know about this? Did the UFC know about this? Do they owe people some refunds? Because look at him. There's no way that he didn't know. Look at him. He's falling over. He's falling over. How did he get cleared? And then I said, oh, hot dog, I said. Everybody kept talking about it during fight week. Where is he? Why isn't he giving the UFC any press? He's grappling. He doesn't want people to see that he's grappling. He doesn't want Max to see that he's grappling. He's trying to capitalize on the whole thing with Oliveira, what Oliveira did to him. He's grappling. I'm going to contort his body. I don't even know what that was. I don't know what accent that is. Maybe he wasn't training. There was no footage because he was hurt. Now, I'm not saying this like a scorned fan. If there's any newbies here, I'm not a Conor fan, never been a Conor fan. This channel was formed on the foundation of clowning on Conor McGregor and just exposing that dude and talking about that idiot. I did pick him because I thought he was going to win, and I said why, and I believe my case is very strong. Nothing that I said was contested in the fight that we saw. There was no time for it because, again, the game was rained out. What I'm saying is, I'm not trying to say he's injured. There's an excuse. I'm saying, what a dummy. If he was injured and he knew it or the UFC knew it, that's messed up. So many people traveled for like International Fight Week, one of the biggest deals of the year as far as MMA is confirmed. Travel, hotel, just everything. Such a big deal. Such a big moment. And to just play the people like this, I don't know. But after looking at the footage of him, I don't see any other way. I don't think it's possible that he didn't have some kind of pre-existing condition. He didn't act bewildered and shocked. And remember when it happened in the Poirier fight? He was out of his mind. What? What's happening? Doctor Stoppage. Your wife is in my DMs. I peed in your Gatorade backstage. He's just freaking out, right? Like, what can I say? This fight, it was like, yeah, sounds about right. Didn't you see that? It was very resolute. It was just like, yeah. It was very, welp. Yeah, just like I thought would happen. It was very like, what? Where's the emotion? Where's the anger? Now he was like, like I'm upset, of course, because, nobody wants it to play out like that. But it wasn't like against Poirier. It was almost like, it didn't have that element of surprise. It was more like, yeah, That old thing. That's annoying. Hate when that happens. Like it didn't feel like it was unexpected. And I'm trying to remember something. There's something that I thought I wanted to say that I don't want to forget. Please talk amongst yourselves in the leave a comment to somebody. Argue with someone in the comments real quick while I remember what I was gonna say. Well, I'm frustrated. I don't remember what I was gonna say, but I guess it wasn't that important. But I'll say this. It's very frustrating. I'm definitely leaning toward I think it was something pre-existing. He already had this face coming in like, dang it, stupid, whatever. Oh, I think I just remember what I was gonna say. One of the most interesting things that makes me lean even more toward this is funny. This is it. I do remember. It's not like I'm trying to convince myself this is what it was. This is it. Pre-existing or not, why the heck would he have come at Max with that stupid attack that he did? Makes no sense. It's one of those stupid kicks, like just throwing every and all caution to the wind. Like when Derek Lewis throws a stupid flying head kick. It's like, what are you doing? Are you trying to make a meme? Are you trying to be funny? And because I do think it was a pre-existing kind of situation, I think it was kind of like some kamikaze behavior. I kind of think that McGregor was like, I know how this is going to end. I can't even stand up. I already know how this is going to go. My leg is worse than Tracy Cortez's right now. I'm just going to go out in a blaze of glory. I'm just going to run toward all these officers with my little BB gun and just go out in a blaze of glory. I think he already knew how his leg was, and he just went for it. Was like, what the heck? Let's just see what happens. And ARJR, one of the legends of the community, made the joke that is like those memes on Instagram where someone like hops off a ladder or something, and then they turn around and they're like a ghost and they see their dead body. That's what it was like. That was so funny. That was ARJR's idea. That was hilarious. That kind of sealed it for me. Like, I don't think with his IQ, if he was healthy, he would have done something so ridiculously caution to the wind. I feel like it was kind of like a kamikaze move. And he's like, well, let's just, oh, well. I don't know. I know I'm kind of all over the place right now. I'm bummed out. I don't feel bad about my prediction being wrong because it was a rained out game. It didn't happen. Max didn't give him that elbow sopa. He didn't sub him. He wasn't teeing off on him on the cage, uppercuts. No, he wasn't cutting him off. Conor contorted himself. Conor spoke that contortion into existence. And, that's what happens when you play with manifestation and speaking things into existence. Don't play that game, bro. What's next for Conor? Now, I was telling everybody that was doubting the White House, you're stupid. Of course it's going to happen. That was doubting McGregor coming back. Of course he's going to come back. What are you talking about? Where do you guys get this stuff from? Now, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised if he ever comes back, actually. I know this is kind of fresh. I kind of don't think he comes back after this. I guess I'll make a video if I feel otherwise in the future. At the moment, I don't think he fights again after this. But the most important thing that I want to leave you with is that I picked Patty, and I told you his BJJ would override BSD's wrestling, and I was correct. So just keep that at the forefront of your mind.